Thank you, Mr. President. On behalf of the EU members of the Human Rights Council and on behalf of Canada, Mauritius, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Ukraine and Switzerland, I shall make now proposals for amendments from the floor to Resolution L1 Rev 2. These proposals should be regarded as a package and voted on as a package. The aim of these amendments is to improve the text of L1 Rev 2 in a way which would allow, if accepted, the sponsors of these amendments to vote yes on the resolution in front of us. The amendments reintroduce issues which constitute the core objectives of draft resolution L2, which have not been taken into account by L1 Rev 2, and I start now with the amendments. And I refer to the document in front of us, L1 Rev 2, advanced unedited version for distribution in the room. Page 1, PP2, after the words United Nations in the first line, delete the word as and replace it by the words including those. In line 2 and line 3, delete the words including the principle of non-interference in matters which are essentially within the domestic jurisdiction of states. PP2 would read in its entirety, reaffirming the purpose and principles of the United Nations, including those contained in Articles 1 and 2 of the United Nations Charter. End of text. Page 2, preamble paragraph 7, which starts with the word reaffirming the respect for sovereignty. At the end of the text, after the words combat terrorism, delete the comma and insert the words in conformity with international law, comma. On page 3, after PP12, insert PP12 bis with the text, gravely concerned by violations of human rights and international humanitarian law committed during the armed conflict in Sri Lanka and their impact on the civilian population, especially women, children and vulnerable groups. Before operative paragraph 1, insert OP0 with the text, deplores the significant loss of human lives and suffering throughout the decades-long conflict in Sri Lanka. In OP1, after the words at the end, displaced persons, insert the text which reads as follows, and calls on the government of Sri Lanka to enhance its efforts to ensure the enjoyment of all human rights by the IDPs. On page 4, OP2, in line 1, delete continued. In line 2 and 3, delete the words and encourages it to continue to uphold its human rights obligations and the norms of international human rights law. Insert after human rights the words in keeping with international human rights standards and international obligations as expressed during the visit of the United Nations Secretary General to Sri Lanka. OP2 would read in its entirety as amended as follows, welcomes the commitment of Sri Lanka to the promotion and protection of all human rights in keeping with international human rights standards and international obligations as expressed during the visit of the United Nations Secretary General to Sri Lanka. OP5. In the second line, delete the words as may be appropriate. And second, insert after the words humanitarian agencies, the words and in this regard calls upon it to ensure a full, rapid and unimpeded access of humanitarian assistance. After OP 6, insert OP 6 bis with the following text: reaffirms the importance of an accountability process for violations of international human rights law and humanitarian law, stresses the need to investigate all allegations and bring to justice, in accordance with international standards, perpetrators of such violations, and in this regard welcomes the commitment of the Sri Lankan government to take measures to address those grievances and underscores the importance of preventive measures. Page 5. After operative paragraph 12, insert operative paragraph 12 bis with the text: calls on the government of Sri Lanka to invite the High Commissioner for Human Rights to visit within 6 months and report on the implementation of this resolution. Thank you, Mr. President.